morning from the UK. It's 10:30 here on Sunday morning in Kent, England. I think it's about 7:30 at night in Australia, Eastern Time. Wherever you are in the world, if you're watching this live, welcome. We're on Twitter live for the first time, YouTube on the Stage by Stage channel, and also on the Facebook live page on Stage by Stage. Any comments, any questions you have, feel free to fill them in the comment box on whatever platform you're watching. If you're on Twitter, you can get a message to us, info@stagebystage.com, info@stagebystage.com, so that email address is there. If you haven't listened to the podcast with our special guest, Molly Taylor, you'll be able to find it at stagebystage.com/blog. We actually recorded it way back in, well, it must have been May time, I think. So morning mini GT rally, or mini rally GT. So we recorded way back in May, and it was released on the 27th of July, I think, and re-released there a week or so ago. So that's where you'll find it. I'll give you a quick snippet of it, just so you know what to expect.
Renting a room in a barn is it's not much demand for that, so I got a good deal, and lived in that barn. It was also my first opportunity to work with Jeff Bond, who is a sports psychologist who worked with a number of Olympic teams. One of the markers was also sort of your level of arousal on each stage.
Sorry, I lost you when you were talking about measuring your arousal on the stage.
To realize that, you can be to other girls what my mum was to me. I just never really considered it until that. And it is pretty powerful.
There you go. Have a listen to that. It's available on all the platforms. If you go to the blog, you'll be able to download it on whatever platform you prefer. So let's get the start of the show on. 2016 Australian Rally Champion, Subaru brand ambassador, all-round good girl, and she just is an amazing inspiration to a lot of people. Molly Taylor, how are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm well, thank you.
How's your day been? It's 7:30 at night there on a Sunday.
Yeah, it's been a nice day. Had a bit of rain overnight, but the weather came good. We're still in lockdown in Melbourne, so we're still we've got an hour of exercise we got in the morning, and then it's just been at home.
How are you filling the time?
Lots of things. Not as much rallying, obviously, but we're still doing a lot of work with Subaru, just on the other ambassadorial projects we have going on. I started uni again, which seemed like a good way to fill some time. So regretting that now that I'm knee-deep in assessments. They're the main things. Training, have a few little projects I'm working on, in and around everything else. So a lot's changed, and I'm busy in different ways, but still got lots going on.
Excellent. Good. So morning to Mini Rally GT, as I said before. Morning, John McLean, previous guest in the show. And Mini Rally GT reckons Subaru need to send you to the States for the championship.
We almost got there.
Go on, just tell us the story on that one.
So I had lined up to do 2 events with Dirtfish in the US at the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, with the whole COVID situation, those events, one got cancelled, one got postponed, and then, obviously everything's been turned on its head for the moment. So that's very much on the radar still and on the wish list, but it's just been deferred. So hopefully something will happen, maybe 2021, but we'll keep working towards that.
Good news, something potentially happening there. What other projects have you got on for the rest of this year? Of course, COVID pending.
COVID pending. I guess the unfortunate news about our championship here in Australia is it got officially cancelled due to all our borders being shut. But we are hoping to do one event in November, and that'll just be essentially like a shootout style cup. So we're trying very hard to put a program together to be able to do that. So that'll be great to get back out in the car. So fingers crossed we can get that happening, and really just trying to put things together for next year, because there's not a lot of events happening out here at the moment until we get everything under control.
Okay. anything else apart from motorsport and the university? That's why we haven't been able to get you on. You've been absolutely flat out. So it's taken a bit of a lockdown to nail
Yeah.
you. As I said,
Yeah.
July we put this out. Normally I'll put it out on a Friday. The following Sunday week we'll get you on. But it's just been a bit of bedlam for you, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a busy period, which is good. It always helps to have something to keep you focused. So I've been involved in a really exciting project, which I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but hopefully in a week or two I will. So that'll probably, clear up why I've been hard to get a hold of. So yeah, looking forward to that happening. And then just trying to obviously keep as much motorsport style stuff going as possible, and filling up the time with I guess the whole uni thing was something that I only did one semester of when I started uni back when I left school, and so it always had been something that was kind of deferred off to the side, and this represented so a bit of extra time to be able to do something that, had the season been running as planned, you would never have the time to fit in. So just thought I may as well do what I can while I've got a bit of time, and then see what happens.
You're such a tease, Molly Taylor. Every time we speak, there's something going on that you can't talk about.
I'm always trying to work on something. Only like 5% of them actually happen, but
it's pretty exciting times, though. You're still enjoying what you do. You're still living the dream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel very lucky. And I think, these sort of tough times just make all that more apparent, because, you're still getting up in the morning with the ability to design what you want to achieve. And there's obviously tough times and hard work that goes along with it, but you're sort of, I guess, designing your goals and what you need to do to fulfill them. So it's good to keep focused and keep everything interesting. So I feel very lucky.
Excellent. So tell me, have you had much feedback on the podcast? I've had loads of really good comments, and you were so honest and open with us. I remember after we stopped recording, you said, "Geez, I have to give away all my secrets now."
Yeah, well, I kind of forgot we were recording, so I'm so used to just chatting to you normally that I forgot the cameras were rolling.
Damn.
So I got my mum to listen to the podcast, and I said, was it all right? Did I share too much, or was it all okay? She's my she can proof everything for me.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. So the format of this type of show, we did all the hard work on the podcast, trying to get as much learning out there as we could, so people can go away, practice it, take the actions that we recommended, and come back and tell us how it all went. And certainly plenty at Seb Marshall on the latest podcast. You probably haven't time to listen to it.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I will be. I don't know if I want to. He's got a lot of stories up his sleeve.
So all right. Okay.
Hopefully he was.
Are you feeling a bit vulnerable there then?
No, I trust Seb with my life, but yeah, he's probably got a lot of ammunition if he needed it.
He definitely has plenty of ammunition. Okay. So welcome, Ford TW35. I don't know what that all means, but lots of people now sharing and joining with us. Again, if you're watching this live, please share it so we can get as many people on to get as much of these stories out there. And of course, if you've got any embarrassing stories about Molly, we'd love to hear those. All right.
Oh yeah, love it. Probably there's a lot of them going around.
Yeah, the format for this show, as you know, you'll have watched a couple clearly, is that you come on here, but it's not just about you. So clearly you've got a couple of guests lined up that are going to come on and tell stories with you. Is that right?
Fantastic.
No, I'm asking
me under
you.
The bus?
You're supposed to have the guests. Did you miss that bit, or what happened?
What guest?
Oh, there you go. So anyway, let's start off. We'll get the first question. We'll see if we can get the first question now. Let me see who's here. A little bit of IT issues potentially. We'll come back to that one. So I will read you a question from here. So this is two parts. First one is on the screen. maybe Molly wants to talk about the drive from the UK to John Hoglan's. That'll be rally school in the R2 Fiesta with no heater in February 2011. That's the first part. Second part, I was test driving a customer car where I work at Ford in Hundalen, we'll call that, or Hundalen, in Norway. I suddenly saw a rally car coming completely filled with tires. Learned later it was Molly, and that's from Tor Andre Borson. That's the story you're going to have to tell us then.
Oh gosh, yeah, one of those ones that seemed like a good idea at the time. So someone I was working with at M Sport owned a Fiesta R2 rally car. They wanted to do a couple of days at the John Hoglan Rally School in Norway, which is a phenomenal school, but obviously needed to get the car from the UK to Norway. So basically, the deal that was proposed to me was if I could get the car there, then I could get there a couple of days early, and I could drive around on the lake for a couple of days as payment for taking the car over there. So I thought that was a great deal. I didn't have a car to do it with, and I looked on the map, and it was, I think, 500 or 600 kilometres from the port in Stockholm across into Norway up to where the school was. So yeah, I mean, in Australia, a couple of 100 Ks is a couple of hours. It's no problem. Put it on a ferry, but I didn't. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about the logistics more thoroughly than that until I arrived at the port. I think it was in Hull. Loaded the car on. It was a 24-hour ferry. Turned out to be essentially like a 24-hour freight ferry. So it was me and I think 2 or 3 Swedish truckies and a whole heap of trucks for 24 hours, which was an interesting experience. Anyway, did the ferry trip, arrived in Stockholm, went to drive. Obviously, it was in winter. Rally car has, the demister, but that's about as far as the heating goes. Was down into the -20s. Had some winter tires, but they were like English spec winter tires, which we may as well have not had them on. And these sort of 500-600 kilometers, a lot of it was all back forest roads, so completely covered in snow, up sort of in the mountains, nobody around, and to the point where, with these tires on and the road condition, like you just have to breathe on the brakes and the car would want to lock. And obviously front wheel drive and the engine lock, the engine wants to stall, so then you're trying to dip the clutch to restart the engine to get the wheels turning again, and so this was continually happening for these 500 Ks in -21 with the car packed full of spares and everything, and there was literally nobody around for a lot of it in between all the towns. So it was actually at that point where I was genuinely a bit concerned, because I thought if I do go off into a ditch and get stuck, I will most likely die on the side of the road before someone comes and finds me frozen to death. So I made it. But yeah, it was a very, I would say, unnerving and uncomfortable, day or two. And in hindsight, I probably should have planned it a bit better, or just found another way to get the car there. But it all turned out well. I did a couple of days. Andrew, the owner of the car, came and did a couple of days, and everyone was happy. But it was certainly an experience.
Is that the same year we did a little bit of work? The late great Pat Flynn has an ice driving school, which Connor's son has taken over, Ice Drive Sweden, and that was the same year, was it?
Yeah. So I didn't. I've done the Hoglan school previously, but I didn't have the budget to at that stage. But I drove via Pat's place in Sweden, so I drove the car across, went to their place. They let me tear around the lake for a couple of days, and then took the car across to John Hoglan. So their setup is awesome, and we had such a good time. And that obviously makes it all worth it, being able to go and do stuff like that you just can't access in other parts of the world. So they're great family.
I remember you picking me up with Connor, I think, when I went over. And the other memory I have of you being there was you make a mean cheese and ham toasted sandwich.
Yeah, that's probably correct. Yeah, I mean, I can only think of the memory of, I think Connor and I were on like some form of sled being towed behind a car on the back roads, which yeah, it was probably, again, in hindsight, not the smartest choice, but it was good fun.
Yeah, it must have been quite daunting, that trip, when you were scared. That's all I can say about that. Fine, okay. The bit I just remembered just flashed back to me on the podcast at the end of it. We both nearly lost it, didn't we? You might not remember when we were talking about Ella.
Yeah,
It
she's
is
fantastic.
difficult, it's a hell of a story, that. So, let's get some questions. Let's see who we can
Hmm.
find to ask you a question here. I'll hopefully
I
get
can
you
see a
in.
name at the bottom.
You can see a name. Can you hear
Give it
us,
away.
Ella?
She's got her mute
She's got her microphone
microphone.
muted, so she's disappeared. She's trying to come back in again, so it'll be smashing if we get Ella in. Here we go. I think
That
we're
would be
here now.
fantastic.
Hey, Ella.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you? Molly, do you want to introduce Ella, please?
Yes, I mean, everyone. This is Ella. Ella actually lives not too far from me in Melbourne, and a couple of years ago came out to her first rally, and it's been coming out to all our rallies and been our #1 Subaru Blue Army supporter since then. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I saw a picture of you with some horses the other day.
Yeah.
Is it good? That was in South Australia, that rally.
What was that one?
That was Ballarat. Do you remember that one, Ella?
Yeah, I remember that one.
What's your favourite one?
The one where when you had the pink and orange car.
Oh, that was cool. That was the first year. That was one of your very first rallies. I remember that rally because it was really cold, and you do you remember you wouldn't put your jumper on because you had a really cool Subaru shirt?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Very
No.
brave.
Yeah, we talked about that in the podcast, didn't we? We told Ella's story, which is just an amazing story. You're just such a brilliant girl. I just want to show something else. Is this? And you could talk us through what this is, Ella? What can we see on the screen then? What are you doing here?
My first YouTube video.
And your YouTube channel is called?
Ella's Workshop.
And it's just amazing. A bundle of joy talking about all those things, car parts, Subaru, of course, and your favourite. You're Molly's #1 super fan, aren't you?
Yep.
Ella, have you got a question for Molly today?
What was your favorite rally?
Oh gosh, my favourite rally. That's really difficult. Ooh. It's hard to pick one. Rally Finland 2014. That's still probably one of my favourite rallies, just because it's one of the most iconic rallies and one of our best results, and just so many great memories from that event. So that sticks out in my mind. But there's been a lot. There's been a lot.
Molly, I know you can ask lots of questions because I've seen a video of you Ella, when Molly took you to the Australian Grand Prix. Can you remember that story? Can you tell us about that? Do you remember going to the Australian Grand Prix and interviewing lots of people?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us all about that.
It's a good day.
I really loved interviewing a lot of people. It was really fun, and they loved us.
You also did the tire change on the go-kart really well. Do you remember that?
Yes, I loved that part.
What else did they involve, Molly? It was quite a big day, really. I remember Susie Stoddard and people like that were there, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember you interviewed Claire Williams as well? You got to ask Claire a couple of questions.
Yeah.
In the Williams pits. We got a tour of the Formula One pits, a tour of the supercar pits, and got to go in behind the scenes at Triple Eight as well. Then we got to do simulators, the go-kart tire change challenge. A whole heap of stuff. It was a really cool day.
Excellent.
What have you been up to today, Ella?
I've been at my grandma and grandpa's house.
Okay.
And I was looking for frogs and stuff.
You're looking for frogs.
Hmm.
Wow. Have you still got your snake?
Yeah, he's at my dad's house.
Wow. Okay. You have a lot of animals, haven't you?
Yeah.
Big animal lover.
Yeah. Excellent. Ella, thank you very much for joining us, and to your mum, Jade. Have you enjoyed it?
It's a lovely
Yeah.
surprise.
Lovely to see you. Keep up the good work with your YouTube channel, and keep selling Molly the videos then, because she told me that she'd had one from you recently.
We'll catch up soon as well.
Okay.
Take care. Bye, Ella.
You too. Bye.
See
Bye.
you. Bye. There you go.
That was a great little thing you guys set up there. Thank you.
Nice surprise, isn't it, to have Ella on? It's
Yeah,
great.
lovely.
Okay.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's just a hell of a story when you look at the detail of that. And again, just listen to the last part of the podcast and you'll understand why we both get a little bit. Moving on. Tora, it's been on. So you're saying, brave, some of the roads can be tricky enough with proper winter tires. Steve
Yeah,
Beaufoy.
the speeds were very low.
Do you know Steve Beaufoy? Time to rally
GTHO.
GTHO.
That is my dad's rally car, which we still have in the shed. And yes, that will happen sometime. Don't know when. The car was most recently used for my sister's wedding, and she arrived in the big Falcon. So that was hilarious. But yes, I would love to have a rally. My dad. He figured if he couldn't have the budget to compete in the outright, he would be the most spectacular. And that big V8 Falcon was not designed for gravel roads, but certainly was spectacular to watch.
Seems to be a theme, like you and your dad in the workshop. So, what's the collection looking like nowadays?
It's got a little smaller from my end, but it always gets larger from my dad's side. He likes new purchases. Actually, a Renault 4 van just arrived from Ireland a month or so ago, so that's the the latest quirky thing sitting in the garage. But my partner and I have a Subaru Brumby, and I was actually up in New South Wales for a couple of months last month, and we had a Donor engine and a Donor car we're taking some parts from, so we had a bit of a workshop day up there and took all the running gear out of that, and we'll be we've got an engine to rebuild and some bits to refresh and a bit of an upgrade to do in our a little Brumby project. So got plenty happening.
You love it, don't you, tinkering about with cars?
I mean, yeah, it's good. It's good when you do it, just for fun and as a bit of a hobby with no rush, or it gets stressful when you're trying to prep rally cars for deadlines and things like that. And I think obviously from doing that, when you sort of rising up through the ranks and then to be in the position where you've got this awesome team building a car, it's nice to still have a project and something along the side that you can just enjoy and play around with.
Excellent. Okay, another question. Can you ask for a Molly rally story, please, for worst mistake with the best recovery from a Ford fan on the internet? So this is something you got away with.
I actually do have a really good story, and I've got a video of it too. It's on YouTube somewhere. But it was in Rally GB in 2013, I think.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was in the Citroen DS3, and I came down into a downhill hairpin way too fast. I had my note wrong, and I misread the braking point, so I just couldn't wash off the speed, and the inside of the hairpin had a bit of a lip of dirt, and so just tried a bit probably too ambitiously to make the hairpin. As I came in, the front of the car clipped the inside of this bank, and that flipped the car up onto its side, and but the momentum of it managed to keep the car rolling, and it did like a full roll and landed on its wheels pointing out the exit of the hairpin. So I think we lost more time sort of for the next couple of corners because you were a bit conservative, thinking that, checking you hadn't broken something or that everything was all good. But the car was all the panels were all bent, but everything else was perfect. And lost 5 or 10 seconds and carried on. So I don't think there's much talent in that one, just a bit of luck. But sometimes sometimes it go your way.
It is an excellent clip. You need to watch that. Seb Marshall beside you, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. So the swearing you can hear in the background is him, not me. FYI.
He's got a potty mouth, that boy, hasn't
He
Jeez.
lets you think that he's
Oh yeah, Mr. Nice.
doesn't say a bad word, and then he can.
Okay, let's keep him coming. Next one. So that's a great comment. Yeah, he's talking about Ella, not you. There, you've already done that job, and you've got the uniform to show for it. Let's see you showing off today.
We're wearing the old the weekend casuals these days.
Yeah, and Bex always told me I was a better reporter than you. So moving on.
Yeah, she would say that, wouldn't she?
Of course she would. Yeah, you ask her. Gordon Noble, what a lovely picture of Mr. Noble. One of the first guests with Rory Kennedy on the show. I bet he didn't realise that photo is going to be live to the world. So what attributes make a good co-driver? Now, he hasn't much experience between him
I was
and Kennedy.
wondering, I mean, I would be happy to help someone inexperienced like Gordon to help steer him in the right direction of what would make a good co-driver.
Between him and Kennedy, they've over 1,000 starts on rallies. We learned that. So, right, okay, he wants to know, so you better answer the question.
Oh gosh, now I feel pressure. This is the master. I better get the question right. I mean, from my perspective, obviously being able to call the pace notes and get the timing right and the understanding of the feel of how that works is a given. And that's something that every top co-driver has and obviously should have. But for me, when you can get that as a baseline, and then the next layer, I guess, of where the co-drivers really then stand out is just that being able to have that kind of innate trust and connection and rapport with the driver, where you're really in each other's head almost, and you sort of know each other that well, or know what the other person needs right at the moment that you need it, and that way you can kind of bring them up if you need to, bring them down if you need to. If something feels a bit wrong in the car, you've just got that sixth sense of what to do in that scenario, and that's where that's that extra level, because you know when everything's happening so fast, you need to be able to sense and react and do all those things. So the qualities of being able to call notes and arrive at the stage on time, be organised, and all those things, kind of the baseline, and then to have that kind of extra feeling is what really separates those top level co-drivers.
Excellent. So there you go, Mr. Noble. Go out and practice a bit of that and see how you get on, and report back at Molly_rally, and she'll sort you out. Okay. Hello, Mr. Wood. Look at that photograph. Who's in the background? So Dave Wood, I was chatting to him last night. He said he'd come on. He might be going to watch some classic cars today. That is actually us on. This is about a year and a half ago. We were very fortunate to have a tour of HMS Queen Elizabeth, which is the first new aircraft carrier. And we spent the whole afternoon just having a wee look around that. It was lovely. Anyway,
fantastic.
Good to have you here.
Good morning. Good evening.
Yeah, well, good morning here. Jack Smith, are there any plans to make an international return?
Definitely nothing in New Zealand. You can tell Jack that.
Yeah.
He's from New Zealand, so
is he? I'm
trying to get over there. Yes, yeah. It does a lot of the videography for the Asia Pacific Championship, New Zealand Championship, and a bit over here. Hopefully, I'm working on it.
You've got a co-driver from New Zealand as well, haven't you?
I do. I think Jack could probably have a few stories about Malcolm as well.
Do you want to tell some stories about Malcolm? But
how much time have we got?
He probably won't be watching this, so.
Well, those
dish the dirt.
They're Energizer batteries.
Yeah.
Where you have these like that. Malcolm, that's Malcolm. I have never known anyone that can dose himself with enough sugar at the right quantity, at the right frequency, to be on a sugar high all the time. With never never has the lows, never has the crashes. He's just always up there. It's an incredible skill, and I've been observing this keenly, and I haven't figured out his trick yet. But I'm going to keep trying to learn, because he's just the most energetic, positive, motivated. Just like the person you always want in the team. Even when things are going badly, he's just the one that perks everyone up. Everything's can do. It's just a great person to have around. He better not be watching, because he might get a big head.
That's praising him. That's not dishing the dirt. Jeez,
I know
what's
he's
wrong
a
with
Kiwi
you?
as well.
This
I know.
is an
We've been nice to New
opportunity.
Zealand.
My God. Right, Adam Hall. Adam was one of the first people to ask a question on these shows. So, what's the biggest difference from rallying in Australia and rallying in Europe? Is there anything that they could learn from each other?
Oh
Great
gosh.
question. Well done, Adam.
Yeah, it is a good question. Think about that. I mean, I think like for me as a young driver, certainly coming to Europe, the strength of the One Make series and the junior development was something that I really learned a lot from, and something that I think back here we've got more work to do. And obviously, you know, it's denser population and there's more people. So by nature of that, there's some key differences in the types and the quantity of cars you can get over there, and hence why that competition's so good. But I think that was for me one of the biggest differences, just that that depth of competition. I think the top end in the categories in Australia and in Europe is very high and just as tough. But there's just more density, I think, over in Europe, particularly in those junior categories. So, I think from us in Australia, I think what we can learn with the One Make series and the junior categories, that's something that we could learn from. I mean, obviously Australia, we've got the best roads, so don't know what you can do about
that.
Better
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Don't think so. Somehow.
We'll both claim the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, whatever.
Stuff.
Good question, Adam. Brilliant. Well done. I've got a question here from a Mr. Tony Simpson. You know of that man, don't you?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Absolute rally. What do you think the question's going to be?
Oh, it's going to be something incriminating, I think.
He calls me a potty mouth sometimes, and he's just said, ask Molly about the most beeped recce car on GB the year she did it with Seb. Right.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we've had a few moments. There was one that, I'm not going to repeat it, but it's on YouTube somewhere. I'm just going to leave it there. I think that's the easiest.
That sounds bad. Give us an idea.
Knows what I'm talking about.
Give us some motivation
just the wrong
to look
use
for it.
of language.
Right.
A completely innocent conversation that just could have been interpreted another way. It's just unfortunate choice of words.
Okay. There's probably some secret project going on. You don't want to incriminate yourself. So.
No secret project. Just something that we found rather hilarious after the fact.
Okay. It's an in-joke then. It's brilliant. That's making great entertainment for all the rest of us then. Well done, Matt. Excellent. Okay. So we did talk a lot about your mom and the influence your mom had, and that was one of the things that we started off from our journey way back in Rally Yorkshire that time. And you told the story brilliantly about our chat and the strategy we came up with, which was completely at odds with what your mom did. Just quickly recap that story, like in a minute, for example.
Yeah, it was basically the final round of the series and a kind of winner takes all. And our strategy was to just go for it, trophies or trees, have a crack, you go out fighting kind of style. And my mum thought that I should take a cautious approach and build up and try and, play a smart strategy, which I thought was, obviously not the way to go. And I think that was just her way of trying to keep me safe, which she clearly didn't like it when I told her I was going to go trophies or trees approach, and she was on the other side of the world, just sitting there pressing refresh on the results, not knowing what was going on. So I don't think she's ever forgiven me for that.
You give that poor woman a hard time, don't you? Especially when it comes to blue.
I still do.
Red. Yeah. So why do you give her such a hard time?
Because she's my mum. Doesn't everybody give their parents a hard time?
For those people who don't know and maybe new to it, and they've suddenly stumbled across this on YouTube or on Twitter, just tell us about your mom and her background, of course, where she's entitled to give you advice. So, for her competition background.
So my mum's been a co-driver since she was 18, professional co-driver for about 20 years with Toyota and four-time Australian rally champion. So she still has bragging rights. There's far more experience than me. So I listen to her sometimes, but obviously, we're in a competitive household. So, I'm always trying to prove that I know better than her, sometimes successfully, mostly unsuccessfully. But yeah, she's been sort of my mentor, I guess, consciously and subconsciously growing up. So I've been very lucky to have her as a resource that's been a huge help in my career.
Would you still give her a hard time on social media,
Yeah.
especially, and live on telly as well? You
and
just
I mean,
absolutely nail her, don't you?
Yeah, you should see what it's like at the dinner table when I'm there. She's yeah. Oh no, that's not fair.
Who's this?
Hi.
Good evening, Coral.
Do you know what the thing is, Trevor? You
Yeah.
say I give her a hard time, but you see how in the background there's the lovely photos and everything put up. There is almost double the photos of my sister than me in the house.
Oh no, you're not going to start that again. Just because you're an auntie now doesn't mean.
I counted. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
All right, Coral. She just batters you, doesn't she? This is your chance to get right back at her now. Off you go.
Oh, this is the child that I spent so much time and effort with, travelling the world when she was rallying overseas, to the detriment of the sister who she thinks is in too many photos.
I knew it was a sore point. It's just the one thing I have to say when I go home. Why are there so many photos of Jane and not me? and look how she dressed us as well. I mean, at that point, I think I'm too young to make my own decisions, and so I think I've got plenty of ammunition for giving her a hard time.
This is what 15 years ago, Coral.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And
That cat is a problem.
Molly, you never let anybody make any decisions.
This is you pretending that you get on, isn't it?
That's the nicer photo. That was when I came home, I think, for about a week, so we hadn't seen each other in a while, and we had a brief reunion in South Australia.
Excellent. Coral, have you got a question?
I have. It's a very mother question, and it's I want to know when you're coming home to clean out the cupboard of doom.
The cupboard of doom. Okay.
Oh, look, I would love to. I would love to, but our government has closed the borders, and there's nothing I can do. So it's I've been trying really hard to get back, and I just I'm just not allowed. I don't want to break the law, so otherwise I would be there.
There's years of Molly's life. Every time she came home from overseas at Christmas, she would throw more things in this cupboard and go away again, and it's been going on for 20 years. But I have another question, because I was speaking to Neil today, and he said, Molly, that I should ask you who was not happy when testing in Finland that the ECU couldn't be repaired.
Oh, you need to explain who Neil is as well for those people who don't know Molly.
Okay, so Neil Bates is the driver that I compete with and have for the last, heading towards 30 years now. And Molly was competing in Finland and had taken her own car also that year to do some testing in. And Neil and his son Harry came over to help. And so Neil was basically sitting in the co-driver's seat for the test.
All right.
And then the car had an ECU failure that couldn't be fixed.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny, isn't it? The nervous passenger discovered a mysterious electrical problem that couldn't be fixed.
Oh, really?
I think he's just answered his own question.
Oh.
Oh, he knows what the answer is. He was terrified.
There was some sabotage. I think there was some bad passengers that didn't want to hop back in the car with me.
In Finland? Were you scaring people?
I do my best always. Yeah. But I don't know. Have I ever scared you, Mum? Because you've sat with me a few times. You just have blind trust, or
I have a bit of blind trust. It's a co-driver thing. Mm.
You did a lot of rallies in Ireland, didn't you? The two of you.
We did the Isle of Man. Yeah.
Yeah, but you also competed in Ireland, haven't you?
Yeah. What was the rally called? Was it the Stone Throwers?
It was the Stone Throwers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little message through yesterday from a guy called Barry Goodman. Now, Barry is a renowned co-driver. if he does watch this, I doubt it. Like, so I'll just read this message in a second, but he's recovered in hospital from a leg operation. So he's got plenty of time to watch the like of this. He might be watching, who knows? But he said, apologies for the start of it. Brilliant podcast, Trevor. Rory Gordy, simply excellent. Loved the Richard Asquith one, having spent a season with him. Really enjoyed the Molly one also. So there you go. You've got a fan in Barry Goodman. Barry Goodman, by the way, co-drove Michael Fassbender, you know, the Hollywood actor, in the Rally of the Lakes. Yeah, Rally of the Lakes last year in Killarney. He said, funny story about Molly, not to be shared with her.
This
Sorry,
is where
Barry.
the incrimination comes in.
Sorry,
Okay.
I couldn't let this one go. So I was doing stone throwers. There you are, you got the right rally, with Niall Maguire in 2010. Molly with Coral in the Citroen. I was nudging Maguire to look at how gorgeous Molly looked. He was busy staring longingly at Coral, said she was more his vintage.
Do you know what, Trevor?
Don't shoot the messenger.
I honestly, and I'm not exaggerating for the sake of entertainment. I cannot count how many times I'm at a rally and someone will come up to me and start telling me how much they like my mum, which is I would like borderline, just odd. But yeah, mum's got a lot of fans out there, so it doesn't surprise me.
I was a fan of your mum, definitely. And Toyota Days.
I mean, you saw the picture. You saw that, like the bob and the like.
I actually, Coral, how long have you been competing? What year did you do first rally?
I started my first rally in 1979.
Did you really?
Yeah, which was with my dad.
Yeah.
So we were planning to do one of those epic Around Australia trials in 1979. So we did a couple of other small rallies first so that I could learn how to co-drive, so that we could do the Repco Around Australia trial.
Wow.
Which was only really going to be a one-off, adventure with my dad. I didn't think, I didn't really have any plans to go rallying. That all quite happened by accident. But I did it and loved it so much that, all these years later, it went on to be a hobby and then became a career and is basically now a hobby again.
And so you're still doing the historic stuff with Neil Nasalika? Is that still happening?
Yes, we haven't done much. Well, obviously not this year. And he has two sons who are now competing in the official Toyota team here. So his rallying has taken a back seat at the moment. So we're only sort of doing the odd thing now and then at the moment.
So I did the 2GO rally in 1986. Would you have been about at that point in time? It was the biggest rally in Australia at the time.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? That might have been an event I did with Peter Glennie. We did the 2GO. I can't remember which year.
That would have been the year your eldest daughter was born as well. Just
oh, really?
Remind you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it must have been the year before. But I must admit, though, we were talking, my eldest daughter has just had her first baby, so we've been
your granny now.
Yeah, but when I had Jane, she was at her first rally at 2 weeks old, and I won my first round of the Australian Championship when she was 6 weeks old, and she basically spent the first year of her life on the road coming to rallies.
That's incredible, because it is on the road in Australia. Like, it takes you about 3 years to get to each rally, doesn't it?
Yeah. The third rally, my driver at the time lived in Moree in northern New South Wales, and my husband Mark and I went to his farm at Moree, picked up a Land Cruiser and a trailer with the rally car on it, with Jane must have been 7 or 8 weeks old at that point. And we drove straight through Moree to Perth, 68 hours straight through with a baby as well.
Wow. That's commitment.
Yeah.
And Jane escaped, though, didn't she? She didn't get involved in the rally.
Yeah, I think it must have traumatized her.
So she just definitely doesn't do rally really that much, does she?
No. She'll come to a rally, but purely to support Molly. But she's not interested in motorsport at all. No.
Okay.
I'll get her in
Cool.
the rally car one day. That's my goal.
Have you never got her in the rally car? She never sat with you.
No, she hasn't sat with me. No, not in anger. So we'll have to fix that.
She did go for a drive with Neil once. Might have even been in the World Rally Car. I can't remember.
Excellent. Okay. You were going to tell a story, Coral, about a van. I think we've got time to tell that. So
I don't know if we've got time to tell that.
we definitely have time
No,
to
well,
tell
that's
that.
what I did say to Trevor. I said, look, actually, I think that story's probably a bit long. We can't get to it. But
Tell the condensed version.
Yeah, the condensed version would be good.
the condensed version
Is it this van you're talking about?
This is the van.
Okay.
And that's leaning on the door is Neil Bates, who I rally with. And
Yep.
the blue T-shirt on the side is his son, Harry. And anyway, Molly was living in the UK at the time, and she was doing the Pirelli Junior Challenge. Can't think what the official name was.
Yeah.
But she also had her own car that she was doing some events in. So Molly's always been one to just try and pack probably too much into any given day or week or year. But she decided that she was going to Finland. She'd been invited to do a rally in Germany. And there was a whole range of tests and rallies. And the McCormack family lent her a van. So Neil and Harry came over to do this 6-week sort of trip and all these multiple rallies, except such a long story, but that van had a lot of issues. So
ECU issues, no?
Well, someone once said to me, what's the scariest thing you've ever done? And seriously, Trevor, it was driving that van on a German autobahn at about 40 kilometres an hour maximum. That's as fast as it would go. And that
It
is
essentially
the
broke down
thing.
every few hours. We had to drive pretty much every country we went to. We got to know the Volkswagen dealers really well. Everywhere from Estonia, Finland, Germany, back through the UK. Like it literally was a nightmare of the journey. And I think the problem is I had basically, convinced Mum and Neil and Harry and Maddie, the other guy that came to help us out, and Seb that, we're going on this road trip and we were doing, we got a rally in Estonia, we're doing Rally Finland, we're doing 2 tests in Germany, we're doing a rally in Germany. All it was everybody up all night, all day, calling people, picking up parts, trying to fix things, trying to get it to the next thing just in time, do the next thing. Everyone was exhausted, driving overnight, stopping, repairing the car along the way. Seb and I drove overnight with the van and the recce car doing the last stint back through the UK. We had all the tools in the side pocket of the car because about every hour the turbo pipe would blow off and you would have to pull over and put the hose clamp back on and keep going. And it was 6 weeks of pure torture for everyone that was there for a holiday that just ended up being service crew 24/7, doing all the really crappy jobs. So everyone got sold a lie, which I'm still paying for.
Thanks for telling that story. Thanks for telling that story, Coral.
Fabulous.
Bullied again. Okay. Any other questions, Coral? Now's your time. You've been.
Oh, look, I don't have any questions, Trevor, no, because I tend to kind of know most things about Molly and what's going on in her life.
Yeah. You must be terribly proud of her, though, without embarrassing her, right? Making her head so big. But what she's achieved is incredible and continues to do. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and just that 6-week journey that we were just talking about is only one of so many journeys. And Molly's incredible determination and drive to make things happen when you never think it's possible, but it always is. And just the person that she is as a person, as a driver. I mean, she totally, totally blows me away so many times. And that other little secret thing that she's not telling you about at the moment, Trevor, about what she's been doing for the last few weeks.
Yeah, she's not allowed to talk about that. Not allowed to talk about that.
When it comes out, what she's done, seriously, there are very few people in the world, absolutely, who would even attempt to do what she did.
Oh, God help
Yeah.
you. If Molly
So I
Taylor
think-
wants-
It worries me. It worries me that she's been so nice, Trevor. I have to say, I don't know what's coming next.
Oh, get out. No, nothing. It's all good.
if Molly Taylor wants to do something or wants to get somebody to help her, she's like a dog with a bone. She just won't go away.
Yeah.
You just cannot get rid of her. And she keeps at you and at you. And
And-
that relentlessness is...
And
And I wonder who that comes from.
too much going on in one day. Trevor, this is a typical sort of Molly scenario. I went over to do, I think when we were going to Ireland actually to do that stone throwers event, that was that trip. And a friend of mine, Maddie, and I met in London, drove 6 hours up to Cumbria, where Molly was going to pick us up and drive down to the ferry to pop across to Ireland.
Yeah.
So we were in Carlisle. Molly was working in Cockermouth. And she said, well, I finish work at this time, takes me 45 minutes. I'll pick you up at 5, we'll be at the ferry by 7. And I said to Molly before the trip, well, maybe we should book the 9 o'clock ferry, not the 7, because we might not make it. And she said, no, we'll be fine, book the 7. And, of course, she was late picking us up. There were 3 of us and a whole lot of luggage in an old Peugeot that she had.
No, 106. Yeah.
We could barely get in the car. It was so weighted up. We drove it flat out all the way. Well, she drove it flat out all the way trying to get to the ferry, and we were running late. So I was doing the typical mother, I told you so, we should have booked the 9 o'clock ferry. And we've pulled around the corner. There's no cars left in the car park. The ferry's, the chimney's steaming. It's ready to go. And I'm doing the mother, I told you so. And she drove straight around to a gate, and instantly a guy came down in his high-vis vest from the office, walked down the stairs, came up, opened the gate, said hello and drove in. And Molly turned to Maddie and I at that point and she said, no queues and personal service.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
That was
She'd been
most
doing
Friday
that-
evenings, to be honest.
She'd been
Yeah.
doing that trip every Friday to go to Ireland and work on her car at the time. So I think they just got used to this one girl who turned up late.
Yeah.
And but when I said to Molly, we should catch the 9 o'clock ferry, her saying to me always was, no, it'll be okay, Mum. We'll catch the 7 p.m. one. I like to live on the edge.
I just remember she treated you like a PA. There's flights changed left, right, and centre. Ferries changed. Oh, Mum will do it. Oh, Mum will do it. And geez.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Trevor, the
Very
best
lucky.
one was a call. Whenever the phone rang in the middle of the night, I knew it was Molly.
Yeah.
And so I had a 2 a.m. phone call one night, and I can't remember the circumstances now, but she said, I've got this car and I'm driving to Finland. I'll be in whatever the port is in Tallinn, is it, in Estonia, at midnight. Can you get me on the midnight ferry across to wherever, whatever the ferry was? I had to actually get a map out and work out what it was. But, yeah, that's the 3 a.m. call. I'm on my way and can you get me on this ferry, and I'll be there in a couple of hours.
CT Travel Services
Yeah.
Limited. Okay. You know this guy?
Yes, AV. Yes, he kept us fed at every rally, and was part of the service crew when we did the 2010 Citroen Trophy, and he was an integral part of our team.
He definitely was. You remember him, Coral, the Barbecue King?
I do. I have very
Many a good
fond memories
barbecue
with
in Northern
Alan.
Ireland with Alan.
Yeah.
The token Protestant.
Just careful where you go there. I'm going to move on. He's got a question here.
I don't know what he's.
Yeah, you don't know anything about
Yeah,
this?
imagine what he's talking about.
Ever burst
Yeah,
a sump on a recce car?
no, I can't think of any Peugeot
It's quite
405s
specific
that's happened
there.
to.
S7.
Yeah. Look,
Okay.
I blame the car. It wasn't my car. And
Right.
no, Alan did come and rescue us.
He's
when
good like that,
did
isn't he?
happen. Yeah.
Because he brought the car over. I did one test with you in Yorkshire. I think I just sat in for the day.
Yeah.
Alan brought the car over then, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he came to all the rallies.
He's also asked, when did you start drinking coffee?
I know it's about habit now. The first time I really started drinking coffee was actually in Italy, and we were doing an overnight rally that started at 9 or 10 p.m. and finished at 4 or 5 a.m. the next morning. And it was about 2 o'clock that the Italian team suggested I try an espresso. And so I did. And turns out coffee's wonderful.
Yeah, Italian teams, you have to be careful with them. I remember when we were Grifoni, the chef was from Sicily, and he's a big guy, Angelo. He is just the best person. You might have used their catering. Grifoni used catering for the junior championship. Maybe when you were there, they supplied it. Anyway, Angelo was involved, and we went for a test in a 206 World Rally car. 1 day a test, and we thought we'll get as much seat miles as we can. Not 2-hour lunch, you stop, and there's about 8 courses out of this van, and of course the first pasta dish gets set down to you. So straight out with the black pepper, and I go with the black pepper. He said, "Whoa, what are you doing?" He says, "I do that. Taste." I never did that again. Like a big Sicilian bent over you. So yeah. So that's where you learned how to drink coffee. Espresso, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have sugar? Did you have sugar in your espresso, the first one that you had?
No, I don't think I did. I'm not a big espresso drinker though now. I definitely, I'm not a very hardcore. I like to have milk or at least a lot more water.
Cool. Coral, let's hear your version of the events in Yorkshire then, where Molly went completely against your guidance in the last round of that championship.
That was really tricky because back in those days, I was sitting up at night to follow her in rallies, and the result systems on the computers back in those days were fairly slow. So you were forever hitting the refresh button and waiting for everything to upload. And because that final round was whoever won would win the championship, I did try and give her some advice. And I think I said something like, "Molly, I think you just need to be smart about this, and that the other 2 contenders I thought would go out too hard, take too many risks." And I'll never forget the reply, because Molly snapped at me. It was quite a snap back.
I wouldn't do that.
And what she said was, "Mum, you don't understand." And then she said, "And I'm going to
Sounds
drive."
a bit harsh now.
Yeah, "Mum, you don't understand, and I'm going to drive that stage like I'm trying to win the World Rally Championship," was what she said. Okay. So that night when it started, and I'm pressing refresh, waiting for her time to come through, and her time came through, and I can't remember, I think it was like 27 seconds faster than anyone else. It was some huge amount of time that she won the stage by, and I was so flabbergasted that I was almost open mouth staring at the computer, and then I couldn't stop laughing. And normally when Molly was competing overseas, Mark would go to bed really early because he couldn't stay up all night. But I would, when the stage time would come through, I'd walk down the hallway and just lean around the corner of the door and half wake him up and tell him that she's through the stage and this is the time. But that night he had actually decided to stay up, and he was cleaning out the garage. So he just wondered what this mad woman was, just laughing in the office. And I just got out and I walked into the garage and I said, "She just did everything she said she's going to do." And she's wiped the floor on that stage.
And then controlled everything for the rest of the day until it all went a bit wrong, the fuel pump, as we talked about in the podcast. So, Okay.
I'm extremely proud of her, Trevor, and I think she's an amazing person. Yeah. And I think, you mentioned... You have
to say that she's my mum. So
no, I don't. It's also the
keep going.
That, you meet and get involved with in this sport. And Alan was one of them that just sent a message in. One of those people you just meet who comes along, who's always happy to do anything to help, fire up the barbecue and feed you. And, the whole thing is a fantastic journey.
It is, yeah. And it only makes you a better person. What you learn in motorsport and rallying, the way you build friends and relationships, if you apply it in your normal life, you won't go far wrong, I don't think.
Yeah,
it certainly worked for me.
I agree.
I think that that question earlier on about the differences in Australia and Europe, one thing that that really hit home for me was when I did go over to Europe, and don't at that point have many connections, and you're meeting people for the first time, and to get to a point where you literally had a second family over there really showed you that it doesn't matter where you go in the world, rally people are rally people, and it's such a special thing to have people that you never knew, and even through friends of friends here that knew people over there that send a message to their mate over there to send you a message, and then suddenly you with this whole amazing community, and it really has no borders. So that's been really special for me to be able to have these second families on the other side of the world just through our passion for rally and motorsport.
Excellent. Coral, we need to take another question. How are you fixed for time? Do you want to stay? You're very welcome.
Molly might like me to bump off the side. I'm happy to hang, but
up to you.
Moving on.
Right, let's stay. We'll get another question then.
The crowd loves Coral. That's
the crowd loves Coral. Right.
She's a real star.
Anything you want to talk about, Molly? Have you made any notes for today?
I haven't made any notes.
Jeez, you're so organised, aren't you? Well, you're just going to blag everything in life.
Well,
Okay.
you got to keep it exciting.
Isn't
You
it
need an adrenaline rush. This is how I get my adrenaline rush these days. There's no rallying, so I have to live on the edge in these scenarios.
Okay, you know the drill, folks. If you're on Facebook Live, if you're on YouTube, fire the questions in. We'll get them to her. If you're on Twitter, info@stagebystage.com. I'll have a look at those emails in a second. But we have another question, which we might have somebody else to ask it of you. You feeling nervous?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm loving it. That's right. Have a smirk, Coral.
Didn't sign up for this.
No, you didn't. Right. We've got another question. Here we go.
Oh, gosh.
Go on.
Can I ask a question first?
No.
Why have you not answered my text messages or my calls? That's what I want to know.
You better introduce our next guest, please.
So we have on the line the lovely Malcolm Reid, co-driver extraordinaire, coming to us from Canterbury, New Zealand.
Well, that was going to be my question. My question was going to be a Pom, an Aussie, and a Kiwi walk into a bar. Which one would you choose to co-drive?
How much money do you and Seb have on this? Is what I want to know.
He's probably out riding the bike, so he won't be hearing this.
No, but honestly, Trevor, I tried to call him the other day and he won't answer his.
He's busy.
Phone to me. Yeah.
He was telling me earlier how busy he was. Did he tell you that he's got an IT media manager as well?
Oh, wow. He's hitting the big guns. He had, see? I told you those two were up to something. He hasn't been able to find a hairdresser, though, clearly.
No. That's actually about a bet with another Australian, actually, Dale Moscat. So during this whole COVID lockdown situation, the two of us decided to take the bet of we wouldn't get a haircut until we finish a rally. Funny enough, he didn't finish a rally and still cut his hair, where I'm yet to finish one. So hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll get to cut it.
And he's in self-isolation in a hotel somewhere in Australia, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, just came back from Estonia.
Yeah. How did you do in Estonia?
I think they came, was it fifth in WRC3?
Yeah.
Okay. We're all in agreement there. Right, Malcolm, have you got a question?
Oh, that was my question. Which one would you choose?
All right, okay. You just got the one.
Just the one.
Okay. Excellent. So, dish the dirt down. That's really why you're here.
Dish in the dirt. There is one, and there is video evidence of it, actually. Well, there's video evidence of the aftermath of it, the reenactment. That's can someone drive a Subaru rally car in touring while trying to grab their drink bottle from behind their seat? And the answer is no.
I think yes.
Not really.
Look, when you were saying what makes a good co-driver, and I was saying that ability to be in someone else's head and know what they need when they need it. There has been a few instances where Malcolm has had to grab the steering wheel in stage and off stage to assist with the driving. And that's just one of those examples of where, the good co-driver knows what the driver needs.
Really?
Oh, you need to explain the story, Molly.
Definitely, the whole world is intrigued. So come on.
Okay, well, the in-stage example was actually would have been was that our first rally together in Ballarat?
Yes.
And we hit a kangaroo,
Yep.
which was a nice welcome for a Kiwi to Australia. Hit a kangaroo, lost the power steering, and we were going through a really, really narrow, tight, sandy section. So it was really boggy, and came into this really tight corner. And I was trying with all my might to get this car around the corner. And I just needed just a little bit more help with just a tiny bit more lock, but I couldn't take my hands off the wheel to get them more locked because I was wrestling it in the first place, and if I took my hand off, the kickback would send us off the road. So I yelled at Malcolm and I said, "I need your hands." To which he replied with, a not very appropriate comment, which all the boys thought were hilarious after the fact. And then Malcolm can probably explain the second scenario where you help the driving.
Well, that first one, when you're reading pace notes and you give me your hands, you're kind of like, what, these? Like, what do you want me to do? What am I doing? And then the second scenario, it was actually South Australia, same year, 2018, out of a stage, and Molly's got her, her coconut water in her little drink bottle behind her seat, and we're touring along, and she sticks one hand without me knowing behind her seat to grab it. Gets her hand stuck. So then she goes and puts her other hand and gets her other hand stuck. Next minute, she's like, Malcolm, grab the wheel. I look across, both hands behind the seat, stuck. And I'm just like, what are you doing? So both hands are behind the seat, stuck, trying to grab the grip bottle. Like, okay, no one's steering the vehicle. I'll steer it then. Yeah, so it was quite amusing.
In hindsight, I would have done things differently.
Would you?
Had I done it again.
What do you think of that, Mum?
Well, Trevor, I'm just going to send you the video one day for your private viewing of the retelling of that story.
Oh.
Because it's priceless.
Right, I definitely want that one, and I will keep it to myself. I
well, gin makes Malcolm infinitely funnier.
All right.
So,
okay,
you'll enjoy the video.
That and Red Bull.
Okay.
Red Bull gets me going.
What about this energy stabilization? This leveling of energy that you talked about when you didn't know you were coming on, and you were listening to all of that clearly.
Yes, I was. Yes. Well, it's quite interesting. The team decides to make us these lunch packs, basically, and Molly's always got her strict diet of her, protein bars and her coconut water and nuts and grain and things like that, apples and all that nutritional stuff that people tell you to have. Meanwhile, mine's filled with a can of Coke and some Skittles. It's pretty much the basis of it, and maybe a packet of crisps for a bit of substance. But that's pretty much the gist of it. And it's just these two absolute contrast in packs. But for some reason it works. Molly has her routine and I have mine. So
excellent. For those people who don't know you, Malcolm, just give us a little bit of a potted history, a couple of minutes, because you've had a relationship and you've worked with Hayden Padden quite a bit in the past, haven't you? Proper driver.
Yeah. Well, he's a driver that's certainly well known on your guys' side of the world. I've been rallying for pretty much the same amount of time as Molly. Seeing I think we're about a month apart in age. So we both started.
I know you can't tell by the, it doesn't seem like that's possible, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you do look a lot older than Malcolm. Go on.
It's this whole COVID thing. It's getting to me. So we're, been rallying both for probably about 15 years. I did a lot of stuff nationally here before starting the Asia Pacific series with Mike Young, a young Kiwi who actually lives in Australia. And from there, got a few call-ups. Actually met Bill Hayes, who was Molly's previous co-driver. And that's where the relationship then started with Molly. Worked with Hayden for a brief period there when he was trying to decide his next co-driver after John. funny enough, he went with Seb. So there's quite the little triangle going on between Molly, Seb, Hayden, myself, Bill Hayes. There's quite the little triangle, whatever you want to call it, going on.
Almost incestuous, isn't it?
Just partner swapping, keys in the bowl almost.
Do you know, I've worked out that if you know, like you say, give mum a hard time, and I mean, I feel bad doing it, but if I really want to wind Malcolm up, all you have to say is, Seb wouldn't have done it like that.
Oh, dagger! I can feel it. Oh,
it hurts. It hurts when she says that. Yeah,
mate.
But he knows I'm only joking. But it does get a good response if you ever need it.
Well, generally the response is no response. So I generally go quiet for about 30 seconds while I process that and go, "Oh, she's just joking."
Yeah. Cool.
So you're very.
So you seem to have a good relationship, clearly, in the car and out of the car. Yeah, a man of plenty of fun and stories and what I've told for people who know you. So the relationship's going to go from strength to strength if you can find some rallies to do then. Is that right?
Yeah, as soon as we're like, New Zealand will open their borders and we'll open our borders and we can do a rally. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So we actually created this little thing called our Subaru bubble. So during Ricky and things like that, there's a lot of conversations which we've decided stay in our Subaru bubble. So
yeah.
I think my whole philosophy with how we approach it is, and Molly's a great testament in terms of her personalities, as well as we're both there to do a job and do a job well. But it doesn't mean it shouldn't deter from having the fun side of it. So generally, you know, we're absolute focus as soon as those helmets are on. Out of the stage, it's helmets off, quick debrief, whatever went wrong or went right gets discussed and then leave it at that. It's not a, you know.
And what happens after that, Malcolm?
Generally, we turn the Bluetooth on and get the music pumping, really. Yeah.
What's your favourite?
We do like the 80s classic. Oh, here we go. It's the 80s mo there. you got to get some 80s classics going.
Amazing.
Yeah. So full professional, approach in stage. But as soon as we're out of the stage, it's discuss what we need to and leave it at that. You know, at the end of the day, there's a reason we all love the sport, and you know we all love it out of the enjoyment and the fun and the hobby that it was to begin with. So even as you step through the stages and get to a professional level like we are, we're luckily be backed by Subaru. You still have to have that side of it is what drives you. I think if you've got that side where you're so passionate about it, that's what pushes you to do well then. So we try not to lose that. We have a lot of laughs. And then even in stage, it's the laughs come and enjoyment come out of seeing those results.
Perfect. Excellent. Thanks for that, Malcolm and Coral. Molly, anything else you'd like to mention? Now's your time to shine.
I think we've covered a lot. I've probably incriminated myself enough for one evening.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's great. It's been great to catch up, and I love the extra guests and the surprise. It's been really cool. And if this is what I've got to do to get Malcolm to return a call, then that's fine.
God, you're really hurting him with that, aren't you?
I am. I'll go through my call log. Something that's not right.
Or she's just having you on. It's probably that.
I think she is.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to say, Coral, before we go?
Oh, not that I can think of, Trevor. I think, looking at these two and what Malcolm's saying, it's from my point of view, because it's a big thing for a driver to choose a co-driver. What if you choose the wrong person? What if it doesn't work in the car, or you don't really get on, or whatever? Because you've got to be great friends. You spend a lot of time together. And Malcolm actually came and stayed at our place for a weekend, so he and Molly could just go driving around the roads and write a few notes and see if their pace noting sort of system gelled together, and just on a personal front as well. which it obviously did. And then they hopped in the car. And from the outside looking in, it's one of those situations where you watch it and you know that was the right decision and there's the right sort of personalities together. They are on a wavelength when they're competing. And, so it's been a joy to watch these two work together and have a lot of fun at the same time, even sometimes when things aren't going well.
Yeah, excellent.
But to be honest, when Bill was co-driving for me and Bill wanted to step out of the car and he wanted to finally retire, which I see he's now co-driving for Max McRae, so I've still got to give him a bit of stick for still not really retiring. But it was really the conversation with Bill. We discussed it for quite a while. This is what he wanted to do at the end of the year, and we together basically discussed about what would be the next best step. And I only knew Malcolm from being at a couple of rallies and sort of saying hi on the side of the road, but I didn't know him very well at all. And it was Bill who knew Malcolm from the Asia Pacific rounds where Malcolm was competing with Mike. And it was Bill that said, I know Malcolm, I know you, I think this would work. And it was, again, that trust from working with Bill for so long. I had that trust in him and said, if you think that's the right thing, then I trust that. And yeah, thankfully he was right. But yeah, it's that continuation of that trust between driver and co-driver that led to that too.
Perfect. And that's the key, isn't it? In and outside of the car, as Coral mentioned as well. What's his driving like? I've had a question just arrived.
Oh,
I don't know. I think there's a few cows that could attest to it better than I could.
You need to explain this one, I think, Mr. Reid.
Well, okay, so the one Molly's referring to, of course, is we had a test session in Tasmania. It was quite late at night by the time it finished, and we're heading back. Of course, Molly always, I wouldn't say she gets me to drive, but I'm always quite the chauffeur. So I chauffeur her around while she sits here and eats her protein bloody meals and all that. and we come up over this crest, and here's a bunch of cattle in the middle of the road. And I probably was left with the perfect amount of car width between the bank and this cattle. And the last thing I saw was this cow's eye about an inch away from the wing mirror. And Molly just looked across at me like, bloody hell. That was one of them. The other one they might be referring to is during the off season, I do speedway here in New Zealand. Over in the UK, you guys have F1 stock cars, very similar. So crash and bash. So pretty much go around an oval racetrack, and if you don't like the other person, you take them out. So quite aggressive, quite the stress relief, really. So and quite opposite to rallying. For me, it's a great relief. I'll just put my helmet on and I don't have to worry about clocking in or anything silly like that. It's just you pull up on the grid and away you go. You're racing around, and if you want to get past someone, you just push them out of the way. So I actually think Molly should have a go, and I think she would actually be bloody good at it with some of her driving.
In your own car. Oh, it's brutal.
Didn't you do something
Malcolm
like that?
Is actually a very good steerer.
Yeah, but you did something like that in buggies, or I remember a long time ago, 4 or 5 years.
I did it, a couple of events in the side by sides, just on like motocross tracks. So there was a bit of that. Most of the roles I had were caused by me, not other cars. Just me, not negotiating the jumps very well.
It's funny you refer back to the first before we're discussing first meeting Molly. Well, my first engagement with Molly actually was the 2010 Pirelli International, actually. Guy Wilkes, I think, had crashed and caught fire from memory. I was with a Kiwi guy doing the Fiesta ST Trophy. Molly, of course, was in the Suzuki Swift. The stages stopped. Everyone's standing around chatting. I think Molly was about 3 cars behind us, and it was like, everyone's walking on over to this car. So I was like, okay, well, we're the Kiwis. We'll walk down here and see what's going on with all these, British and Irish guys hanging around. And here is little Molly sitting up on the bonnet of a car, and she's got about bloody half a dozen Poms just sitting there while she's talking away. And it was just like, there's the Aussie chick.
Yeah.
That was my first memory of Molly.
It's amazing, how you guys go about things like that. I was just listening to Absolute Rally. The latest podcast got Rhiannon Gelsomino, and telling the stories about her and Brenton, her brother Brenton Reeves, coming over to do the Junior World Championship, or the Academy as it was back then. And, you know, that must have been crazy times for you, Molly, then with those guys.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. I mean, it's sort of, I guess, not so many now, but at that time, you know, there was quite a few of us coming up through there in Europe, and that whole academy setup was just such an awesome experience for us, and to get that exposure and that opportunity was just incredible. So hopefully we can create a few more of those things with the next wave of juniors coming up.
And do it in a little bit less of a shoestring, so a bit more budget might be better.
A bit better prepared. There's a few lessons learned along the way that I'd like to think we could impart and try and just avoid some of the rookie mistakes.
Excellent.
But
guys,
it's the rookie mistakes that make you who you are.
That's it. Your experience is a collection of your mistakes, isn't it? As someone once told me. Guys,
Sure.
You've been great sports. I've enjoyed it, and that's all that matters, really. So I hope you've been suitably uncomfortable, Miss Taylor.
Mission achieved, yes.
No, joking. It's been great fun. Hopefully people will watch the recording when word gets out and enjoy it and get to know you a little bit better, without all the PR spin and everything else that has to happen. We know that. Anything else you'd like to add at the end, Malcolm or Coral, before we go?
Go for it, Coral.
Oh, no. Sorry, I don't have anything specific to add at all, other than I think we're all looking forward to some semblance of normalcy and maybe some motorsport, which is seriously lacking in this country at the moment.
Yeah, great. Malcolm?
Oh, the only thing I will add is, and it was probably our darkest day for me and Molly rallying, and that was Rally Australia 2018, which everyone's seen the footage of. But there was one funny part I take out of it, and that was once a car stopped, we all hopped out, of course, both of us, and away we go. Well, I go to the fire extinguisher, start doing that roll. Molly up the road. No. Molly was like she was trying to continue the stage. She started going towards the end of the stage. And I was like, Molly, that way. So she was like, what? Turns around, had to go the other way. So she was dead set finishing the stage. So it wasn't go the other way and put the triangle
I
up the
thought
other
we'd
way.
come from that direction. I didn't know. I'm not a co-driver. I was just trying to run a few hundred meters up the road with the OK board. Just turns out I was running the wrong way.
This is on the back of probably a moment, the biggest.
Yeah, I'm
accident
going to
you've
blame
had in your
that.
career. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So no, it was about the only sort of funny moment in the whole situation. It was just like look up and I'm like, where's she off to? But no, very glad we both came out of that. You know, testament to the team that built that car, because it certainly did its job. And even
Malcolm, who saved the car. Honestly, the way he managed to keep the fire at bay until we got more extinguishers, it was Malcolm that stopped that car from becoming a burnt out shell.
Fair play. There's nothing worse than a rally car on fire. I've experienced that, and it's horrible.
Yeah,
Cool. Right. Torre has sent you some good luck for next year. Give Mr.
Thank
Pastrana
you.
a run for his money. The Subaru deal works out, definitely. All the best with all your plans going forward, especially the secret projects, which will become non-secret in the not too distant future. We've almost done an hour and a half. Can you believe it? How quick it goes?
Way past my bedtime.
Indeed.
it actually is.
I'll go and get some lunch now. Well done, folks. Thanks very much. If you haven't
Thank you.
listened to the podcast, guys, make sure you do. It's on stagebystage.com/blog and every platform you can think of there. If you want to get in touch, info@stagebystage.com. Thanks very much, everybody. That'll do.
Thank you.
We'll call it quits there, and we'll catch up with you sometime soon. Cheers, folks.
Thank you. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.